I did chapter 19, verb action, teaching irregular verbs through experience. This covered irregular verbs that people just add ed to the end of. Like instead of saying I cut the bread, they say I cutted the bread. Another example would be instead of saying I threw the bread away, they'd say I throwed the bread away. The steps to implement verb action were laid out in the chapter. The first would be to observe students and monitor written work to identify words that are being misused. This just helps you figure out where you should look, what you should be paying attention to specifically, the words that you should include in your lesson. The next is to plan active experiences to practice the correct usage of identified words. It's called active learning experiences, where you have the children act out what they're saying. I liked it, it was fun. Then you have document the activity by taking photos of students as they participate. This is just to show the students what they're supposed to be doing, what the action looks like. It gives them a visual aid, a reminder, a representation. Then you involve the students in contributing to an irregular verb journal. This is where they're supposed to write about their experience with the irregular verb. So, for example, I have them say, I threw the ball. Then they write about throwing the ball, and that's really it. You create a chart, bulletin board, or word wall to provide a resource for students. This is to keep track of the irregular verbs that you've used and irregular verbs that may be a problem for your students currently. Then you continue to observe student oral and written usage to determine when reteaching and review is used, just to make sure that the students understand what they should be saying and they don't need gentle reminders that they get the content. Then you evaluate your approaches and the learning that takes place. Evaluate your lessons, your activities, what you implemented, what you integrated, and student learning. Continue to observe and identify new verbs and other vocabulary to teach. Just to repeat the process consistently throughout the school year, because there are a lot of irregular verbs that a lot of people, including especially kids, misuse on a daily basis. To teach this, I would give the students an apple, probably a plastic knife, and I would tell them to say, I'm going to cut the apple, right? And then they cut the apple, and as they do, they say, I cut the apple. And then I'll have them say, I am going to eat the apple. And then they eat the apple, and after they've done that, they say, I ate the apple. Once they're done with that, they write about their experience. And that is verb action.